Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a box opening for the Cricut mug press. Before I get started, I just want to go ahead and give out the disclosure that this is not a sponsored video, so everything has been purchased with my own money and all of the feedback is 100% honest. So let's go ahead and get started. So aside from just getting the mug press, I actually got a couple different things as well. I got a mug blank. So this is a white and gray mug blank, and this is a 15 ounce. They only had this one in Joann, so that's why I ended up getting this. However, when I went to Michael's, they actually had the plain ones, which is like a full white mug. Obviously the gray one is just like cooler if you like the darker gray. However, I actually prefer a plain white mug. This one I believe was $5.99. The set of 6 is $19.99, and then the mug press itself was $199.99. One other thing that I did get is also a infusible ink. I have the Cricut maker, so I have something to cut this with, and keep in mind that you're more than welcome to like kind of hand cut stuff out if you want to use infusible ink and hand cut stuff. They also do sell infusible ink pens as well, which I do have. Alright, so let's try to open this up. Once you open the box, it looks like pretty straightforward. So here is the actual mug press. It is covered with kind of like a saran wrap, and then we also have the booklet here. I'm guessing this is the instructional booklet. So here's everything that comes in the box. We have our little activate your Cricut and then like instructional guide, and then we also have the cord, power cord, and a USB adapter. This is a mini USB. And then we also have the machine itself. So let's open the machine up real quick. So here is the mug press. It looks like this is like your one press type of thing. So you press this button and then that's the timer and you just press down on it. These are the mugs that came from Cricut, and I'm gonna answer this question really quick because I know somebody is gonna ask this, because does this look like a regular old mug? Yes, it absolutely does. Can it work with any old mug? The answer is no. Unfortunately, for sublimation, to put the infusible ink into the mug, you do need a special type of coating around this area. So without that coating, the pigment will not seep into the actual ceramic, and so it will not work. So please, please, please do not try to go to Dollar Tree or Target or Walmart or anywhere else to pick up a random mug and try to heat press into it. The pigment will not be able to seep into the mug, and you will be wasting your time and money. So just warning on that. What you can do, however, is look for sublimation blanks, and that will work with that. However, with the Cricut machine, make sure that it will fit into that slot, and it has to be a flat surface. Flat means that when you look straight, you don't see any curvature. It just goes directly straight down. So this is the perfect example of that. You can see how that matches with that line because it is a straight edge. So with that said, let's see here. I'm going to go over what we're going to do. First one we're going to do is going to be using the infusible ink sheets. So I'm going to go on Cricut design and cut out a design to put onto the mug. For the second one, what I'm going to do is actually print out a sublimation design that I drew off of my printer. So I did convert my Epson printer into a sublimation printer. If you follow my channel, please make sure to check out that video to see how you can do that if you decide that you want to do that. That is just going to be printing something and directly putting it onto the mug. Very, very fun. So I will show that. And then again, aside from just the mug difference, when you see me do the printing and then, you know, putting it on there, please do not print it from a regular printer. It is a sublimation printer. The inks are different. So if you try it with your regular printer, do not do that because it will not get on the mug. So that's the second one that we're going to do. And then we're going to do one more mug. And the last mug, I am actually going to be using the sublimation pens that you can purchase from Cricut. I'm not sure what I will be drawing, but we will kind of play with those pens as well and see how that works. So we are going to be doing a total of 3 mugs, and it is going to be lots of fun. So let's go ahead and get started. So for the first mug, we're using the Infusible ink. I actually cut this down to size already, and we're using the ombre one. I have a little bit of like a design thing going on here, and I made the edges with scallops, so we'll see how that turns out. Now, in order to make this, you want to make sure you have this mirror, just because it will be facing the other way around. So let's go ahead and cut this out. Now, one thing I do want to add, that as I'm doing this with the Infusible ink paper, I am not going to lie, it's not exactly a very pleasant experience, especially if you do any smaller fonts like this. This is a little bit frustrating just because as I'm pulling them off, because the paper is a lot thicker than the vinyl and it's not sticky on its own, so it just tends to like not want to stay. So it's going to take me a little while to do this, but I will be right back after I pull all of these off. So after forever, I finally took out all of the pieces. So I stuck it onto the mug, and hoping that everything is going to stay in place when it heats up. I did use some heat resistant tape. This is the Cricut brand. I just put it in my own tape dispenser. So let's see how it works. We have our mug here. We're going to slide this in, and it looks like what I have to do is just press down. Is there like, oh, there you go. Let's wait for this to run. It looks like it's blinking, so once it's done, we can take it out, and then I'll have to wait for it to cool off for about 30 minutes, I believe. So while that is running, I'm going to go ahead and mess with the next thing that we're going to do, which is printing something off of the printer with Sublimation ink. So this is something that I used to draw for fun, and I probably will still continue to draw, and that is like these funky like little characters of my animals. I'm gonna use this picture actually specifically and make a mug with it. Alright guys, so it is all done. I'm taking the mug out, and I'm gonna place it right on my little heat mat right over there. We're still working on the other mug, so once I'm done with that, I will show you guys the printing of the file. So I have my sublimated printed picture, and it is mirrored, so that way it will be the proper direction once it's printed onto the cup. I'm going to go ahead and tape this onto the cup. So this is taped onto the mug. I'm going to go ahead and put this in there. I'm going to try to center it a little bit better this time. Make sure it'll cover the whole thing, which it looks like it will because it hasn't even reached the edge yet. So let's go ahead and close this baby up. There you go. So now it's going to start the timer. So while we're waiting for this one to set, I am actually going to try to draw some stuff here with just regular print paper and the Cricut Infusible ink, just to give you guys an idea of how that one's going to come out. Okay, so I drew, or more like doodled, a couple mercats in here, and I wrote backwards mermaid or meow maid, and we're gonna test this one out. The machine is ready to go. I did turn the machine off in the middle just because didn't really have enough time to draw fast enough for that, but we're gonna go ahead and get started with this one. It's always about trying to cover that entire surface. So I think I got the whole surface in there. While we're waiting for that one, the other mugs have cooled off because it took me so long to draw these ugly mermaid cats. But here is the first one. So it is completely cooled off. I'm gonna try to take this off. Pieces fell off. Oh, nice. Let's take off the other side. So you can see the color came off completely because it had transferred into the mug. So here is the mug. I would say it looks pretty good considering it was my first time. The edges definitely are a little bit wonky just because it didn't quite cover the entire area. However, I do think it's really cute that I did the little scallops there. We just got to do them a little bit smaller. One other thing I am noticing is it looks like the E middle part did fall off, so that kind of sucks. But it's not really that noticeable. On this side, it does have the whole E. The other thing I noticed too is that this is a lot darker than I thought it would come out. Let me see if I have that piece of paper for you guys to compare. So here is the paper before we sublimated. So there is a huge color difference. This is a lot darker. So honestly, I wish I kind of did the top part instead of the bottom part because I actually really wanted something a little bit lighter. However, I do like that it is darker so that way the words actually stick out. That is the first mug. Let's take a look at the second one. Here's the second mug. I can kind of see the edge a little bit here. It looks like it kind of shrunk or something. It's actually a lot darker than I thought it would be. So that actually shows me that maybe for any printed images, we might have to lighten them up a little bit more. Definitely a little bit easier to come off because it doesn't have that weird paper. So here is the sublimated mug with the Sublimation printer. It turned out really good actually. The front part of the cat, I'm not sure why, but it's a little like fuzzy, and it's kind of fuzzy on both sides, so I don't know if it's like it didn't have enough pressure right there or anything. But I am gonna make a couple more of these just because I did draw a couple of these, so I think it's pretty fun to make these ones. I definitely noticed this part right here, so it looks like this part's smudged. What I'm wondering actually is if it has anything to do with the fact that maybe I had pressed down on the mug while it was hot, because as I'm holding it, that's kind of where my finger lands. So I'm thinking that actually might be it. I'm gonna make one more mug, not the same print, not the same picture, but a different animal. And this time I'm not going to touch this part at all when I pick it up while it's still warm, and I'm gonna hope that maybe it won't be as fuzzy. I'm trying to see, like, as I'm holding it, where's my other finger? It's more like right here, but I guess I could have held it like this. It looks like it could be like my fingers when it's warm. That's my best guess. But aside from that, I mean, I think this actually turned out pretty awesome still, so I'm not gonna complain. I still love the way it looks. This has cooled off now. I'm not sure how long it's been, but basically I used that time to actually set up one more cup. For that one, I am doing another drawing, but it is a light blue one instead. So I'm trying lighter colors to see how that's going to come out. I did notice with the printer that maybe I need to clean the nozzle a little bit more because there is like a slight line going down. I'm not sure if anybody else can see it, but I can sort of see it. So that's something that we kind of have to do some testing with. But let's go ahead and take a look at these mermaid cats. I'm not very excited about this because I'm not that great at drawing, but we shall see how bad it is. Alright, so here is the mermaid cat mug. Honestly, it's not that great. I mean, I'm not the best at doodling stuff, especially if I'm literally just pulling it out of thin air and not really thinking about it. But this is what the pens look like. So I didn't use the color black, so it is supposed to be pretty light. However, I thought it would still be a little bit darker than this, so this is definitely coming off a lot more watercolor looking than I thought. Alright guys, so now that we have all three of these mugs done, let's go over the pros and cons for each one just to kind of help you guys decide if you want the Cricut machine or not, as far as the mug press goes. So first method is going to be with the Infusible Inks. Infusible ink, this is kind of like the method that they are recommending you. This is how you can get really bright colors. You can cut shapes out. If you have a Cricut die cutting machine already, it's going to make it pretty easy. Only thing that, the only couple cons I can think of honestly is going to be, one, the price. So it can be pretty costly since you're purchasing each piece of paper. So it's kind of equivalent to like the costly part of, you know, using vinyl. Except I believe the infusible inks are a little bit more expensive. And the other thing too is also keep in mind that you can't get really super detailed, especially if you do like a cutout type of thing like I did here on this mug where you want to change the color of the mug. These little dots, those ones come off really easily, so you got to be careful. It's a little bit different from the vinyl weeding process because the vinyl weeding process tends to stick a little bit better on that base sheet. This one kind of comes off, so that part is definitely a con. And then the other con too is you are limited to whatever patterns they have. So if they only have this certain shade of blue, then that's the only shade of blue you can work with as far as the infusible inks. I believe you can purchase infusible ink papers online as well. So you can definitely look into that. Another wording for those, if you're not looking for infusible, you can also look for sublimation ink papers. That is another wording for it, just to help you guys out with that. So that's method number one. So this brings us to the second method. This is also a Cricut method. With this method, we're using the infusible pens. It's like the infusible ink pens. And so this is kind of more like fun. If you're like super artsy, I think this is a great method to do it. I'm just not that great at drawing, as you can see. But this is definitely a fun part. I think this is also great for like little kids because if they want to like draw their little cartoon characters or whatever, it's a great way to keepsake those pictures. So I think that is a great idea for that. Now the downfall for this one is, I will say, one, if you want to do any wording, you kind of got to do it backwards. So everything is going to be like pasted with the ink facing to the cup. So when I drew this or wrote this, I kind of wrote on a piece of paper and then I used a light pad to transfer it and redraw it backwards on another piece of paper so that way it wouldn't be backwards. All the pictures are going to be flipped, so you got to keep that in mind when you're drawing. It's a little hard to draw and write backwards, if you know what I mean. So that's a con with that one. The other con too is if you've noticed the colors, they're just not that bright. This color for the lettering is supposedly called dark gray. So I'm trying to figure out which part of that is dark gray. But I will say that they are sort of on point with the color. It's just the shade of it is a little lighter. So keep that in mind when you guys are using these pens. Another color, just to kind of compare, this is the color of, yeah, it doesn't even show. That's the color of that cat, like the face of the cat. Not like the lining, but the actual face of the cat. So that color just didn't even come out at all. So just keep that in mind with these pens. They're not very, very pigmented. So it's very kind of like up in the air. Whatever color it comes out to be is what color it's going to come out to be. I think that is more just like fun option. So that brings us to the last method here. This is done through sublimation printing. So in my channel, I do have a video that shows you how to convert a regular Epson EcoTank printer into a sublimation printer. and it is not too expensive of a method, I would say, for the long run, depending on how many mugs you're going to be making. But the freedom of creativity is 100% better than the two other options here. So with the sublimation printing, basically you can draw anything you want and print it on the mugs. You can even print a picture of yourself onto the mug. This is the best way, I would say, to do it, but however, it is just not really the Cricut way, since Cricut does not have any way for you to kind of print because they don't sell any sublimation printers. So you would have to kind of like either buy your own or convert a Epson printer or any type of EcoTank printer into a sublimation printer. Pros and cons for this, honestly, there is very little cons. The only con I can even try to think of is messing around with the printer inks. So it takes quite a couple shots just to try to like not get like the little printing lines, which you can still kind of see on here. I'm not sure if you guys can see them. So that is kind of like the downfall for this, is sometimes if you do not have a great printer, or you haven't cleaned the printer nozzle head that much, you will get those like printer lines, which are not very pretty, especially if you do darker colors like this. Like this is a pretty dark brown. And then the other con too is trying to nail down the colors in general. They just kind of come like a little bit different from the screen. I have one more mug that I did like this, that is this one right here. So this one came out a lot better. I actually really love the colors on this. For this one, I think the quality came out really nice as well. I changed the edging to have kind of like a little swirly coming out, not swirly, I guess like a little wave on the edge to kind of finish off the mug a little bit better. I also added a name on the side. So personally, I love the way that this one came out, and I prefer this method. So that is all the methods that I have shown you guys, and hopefully this video was helpful. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Next video I'm going to be purchasing like a bunch of the Amazon blanks of stuff that can possibly fit in this. Keep in mind that the sizing is limited just because it's kind of one step type of thing. So I'm going to be trying to look for a bunch of blanks from Amazon just to see if they work, to compare it with the Cricut blanks, just because, you know, who doesn't want more options as far as blanks. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching my video. Comment, rate, and subscribe. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!